anyone who watches you, anyone who knows you knows you're a huge Steeler fan.
Yeah.
Are you ready for Aaron Rodgers? How do you feel about the man you have forever called the bad man on your Steelers?
I think a lot of people think he's finished. I don't believe he's finished. I think that, you know what, the higher something climbs up the tree, the more it shows its backside. And I think that that's what happened with him. When he was focused on just quarterbacking the Green Bay Packers, that was when he was excellent. That's when he was a 4-time league MVP. That's the guy that went to 4 NFC championship games. That's the guy that won a Super Bowl championship in his only appearance there about 15 years ago. But when you ask for it all, to be the man and what have you, and you go to the New York Jets, clearly that was just a dismal situation, to put it lightly, and it wasn't his best self, his best version. But for all of these people that think he's done, I will remind you, last year was a bad year too. First year in Jets, he gets hurt. You know it better than anybody on the planet, Greeny. 4th play of the season. He goes down for the rest of the year. So last year he comes back from an Achilles. He doesn't have the greatest year. They lose a 4th quarter lead about 7 times, etc. I will remind everybody, a down year for Aaron Rodgers, was throwing for nearly 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I'm sorry. You put DK Metcalf and George Pickens as the wideout, Freiermuth as your running back, Warren in the backfield with a beefed-up offensive line, with Mike Tomlin clearly being the voice for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, Cincinnati and Baltimore can't be ignored. I get that part. But I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who always find a way to at least be relevant until the playoffs, that is, and then they can't win a game since 2016. But if you put Aaron Rodgers behind center under those conditions and say, focus on throwing the damn football, leave the rest to us, I think Aaron Rodgers got enough left for the Steelers to potentially make some noise, assuming they keep T.J. Watt.
I agree. I have 1 minute left. I need to ask you this. I traveled all over the country with you. We walked into NBA arenas during the finals, and the fans were yelling Cowboys stuff at you. I feel sad because I can't even ask you about the Cowboys now. They feel as though they've done the impossible, and that is become sort of irrelevant. How do you feel?
Oh, they're very irrelevant, and I think that's depressed me because, I don't want them to fall off of a curb. Mm-hmm. I want them to fall off a roof. You see, in order to do that, you have to be relevant, and you have to tease the people into believing you're going to be relevant. And with some of the non-moves that they've made, I mean, this year they've created about $57 million in cap space. Dak and CeeDee Lamb both restructured their deals and what have you. We get that. But you still see Jerry Jones cutting corners in terms of spending in free agency. You can't come up with $6 million for Rico Dowdle, but you can come up with $3 million for Javonte Williams from Denver. Stuff like that. It's ridiculous. And with the way Washington has looked, Philadelphia is obviously the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. It's not a lot to say about the Dallas Cowboys right now, which depresses me. I want them good enough to make noise, to get to the postseason, and to tease the most disgusting, nauseating fan base in American history into believing they got a chance just so they could fall flat on their face and I could be in Dallas laughing at them. But unfortunately, it's not a laughing matter because they've given us nothing to laugh about because they've been that sad over the last year or so. They need to get it together.
Stephen A. is 5 minutes away from on this yet because Micah Parsons, when Myles Garrett got his deal and became the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, he was very excited about it. That mark has now been surpassed. So the question is, did Micah's price tag just go up?
I think it did. I think 2 guys, T.J. Watt, who's likely due for an extension this offseason, and Micah Parsons as well. So highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Myles Garrett was that for roughly a week. And I would imagine Jamar Chase will have that title for longer, but probably not at the start of this season.
If I'm Micah, I'm in no rush. Let Dallas continue to hold out. Continue to let T.J. Watt get paid. Let the price go up a little bit more. I'll continue to wait till the deadline how you guys do things, and I'll take the most money I possibly can.
By the way, good for Jamar Chase, by the way. Like contract negotiations, he didn't want to be the highest paid receiver. He wanted to be the highest paid non-quarterback. That's a $4 or $5 million a year difference.
Well done.
Good work by him.
They could have, and I said it at the time, so this is the one thing that I had right. I told you earlier, this is what I had wrong. Here's what I had right. They should have signed him last year, right? There was never any question.
I mean, they tried.
Jamar Chase is the future.
Good for him for waiting and winning the receiver triple crown in the meantime.
But didn't he want a deal last year? Didn't he hold out?
Didn't he agree? But he played the whole season.
Right.
And look what happens. Like if you wait, sometimes that's the right move.
No, I understand. It certainly worked out very well for him. we'll see. It winds up costing them more than it might have otherwise. We'll take a short break on that, get your sheets of agency not over, so let's play a game of free agent frenzy. J-Mac, looking back over the free agent period so far, what has been your favorite move?
I love a wide receiver position because I never could cover those guys. Devontae Adams going to the L.A. Rams. I just think about Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball with Sean McVay dialing it up, hearing how he recruited Adams to come there. You just absolutely love this pairing with these guys.
Neek, what has been the biggest head scratcher to you so far?
Well, that Kirk Cousins is still a Falcon. I guess we still have some time, but it'd be shocking to me that they don't use Kirk Cousins to get some more draft capital and then use that to make this team a little better in the coming season.
And then, Graziano, how about the next move you want to see? What hasn't happened yet that you would be forecasting?
Cowboys still need a receiver. How about Stephon Diggs to Dallas? I'm personally a big fan. I don't know if J-Mac is, of brothers playing on the same team. I think that's a lot of fun. Dallas needs a good number 2 behind CeeDee Lamb, and I think at this point in his career, Stephon Diggs would be an excellent addition to the Dallas Cowboys.
Graz, I always knew I liked you. That just is the perfect pairing. You get brothers on the same team, especially these guys on opposite sides of the ball, is going to raise everybody's level of competition. I made Dev into the player he was in New England.
There
you go.
Just to ask you. And,
he always says that.
And fair enough. Stephon, and look, there's a lot of things about that move that would be good. They talked about going after Cooper Kupp. I don't know how seriously.
Yeah, they never got real serious about
That's what I mean. Yeah. They wanted the world to think they were going after Cooper Kupp, but they never spend the money that it would take to sign Cooper Kupp. And maybe, I don't know how expensive Stephon Diggs is, but they don't go after free agents that cost any real money.
No, they don't. If their deal is right, I think they'll look into that. I mean, they'll kick over every rock to find a number 2 wide receiver. But yeah, there's a line item on their budget with a number on it, and I'm sure they're pretty disciplined about not going over it.
Yeah, they've certainly shown that discipline in the last few years. J-Mac, I'm looking at this piece of paper that they gave me with the different takes that people have.
Yeah.
And it says on here that the move you want to see is the Steelers trading for Brock Purdy. And I just assume something's wrong with this piece of paper.
Hear me out, Greeny. Me and Evan Cohen were talking last week. All right, the situation at hand right now, they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Say Minnesota comes calling, Aaron Rodgers decides to go to Minnesota. Russell Wilson has been on a visit to the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. For whatever reason, the Browns go in and they sign Russell Wilson to a contract. Now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've already traded for DK Metcalf and gave him a big contract. You need to have somebody to throw the ball to him. We've talked about the 49ers figuring out whether this is a rebuild or they're still going for it. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, why not think about, hey, calling up the 49ers and John Lynch and saying, I don't know where you guys are at right now. If you think you got a chance, that Brock Purdy guy, you're unsure. Do you want to pay him? Is he the same guy? Give us a shot at him. We'll take him. We'll let him be able to distribute to all the weapons we have here in Pittsburgh.
If the 49ers aren't going to pay Brock Purdy, you think the Steelers are going to pay Brock Purdy? I mean, the 49ers give out money a lot more freely than Pittsburgh does. I mean, it's a fascinating idea. Like, the logic is sound. I just think underneath it, the Niners, I believe, intend to sign Brock Purdy and don't want to trade him. But it's a fun thing to think about.
And then one of the underlying ones, of course, in that is Aaron Rodgers making up his mind on what he's going to do. Dominique, what's the move you want to see coming up next?
I mean, you see it right there. Do something, Aaron Rodgers. Like, I feel like we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers going to every possible team, and I just want him to make a decision at some point. Even